Good morning. Welcome from First United Methodist Church in our time of devotional on this Monday morning. Let me call your attention to a couple of prayer concerns that I'm aware of. We need to keep Catherine Mayer in our prayers. She is in a Dallas hospital after having had a terrific fall at her home and has had a brain bleed issue, and we want to be with Catherine and Mitch as she recuperates from her injury. We also want to continue to remember those people who have been involved, having been infected by it or having had a work-related issue because of the COVID-19 pandemic that continues to be on our minds daily. And then, in a very special way, we want to lift up our community, our nation, in the racial unrest that is across our land. For all of those who find themselves being victims of the unintended problems that racial injustice seems to bring about. We want to pray for them as well. This morning I want to go back again to that 118th Psalm, the 24th verse. I like that verse. This is the day which the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And to share with you an old Spanish proverb that sounds a little strange to me, but it is indeed just that, and it says something to us, I think. It says, if your house is on fire, warm yourself by it. I find myself being that person that wants to always try to figure out a way to put it out. But with this story, Thomas Edison's laboratory was destroyed by fire in December of 1914. Much of Edison's life's work went up in that spectacular flame that December night. At the height of the fire, Edison's 24-year-old son, Charles, was frantically searching for his father among the smoke and the debris. He finally found him, calmly watching, his face glowing in the reflection, his white hair blowing in the wind. Charles said later, "My heart ached for him. He was 67 years old, no longer a young man, and everything he'd worked for was going up in flame." Charles continued, "When he saw me, he shouted, 'Charles, where's your mother?' I said, 'I don't know.' He said, 'Well, find her, bring her here. She'll never see anything like this as long as she lives.'" The next morning, Edison looked at the still smoldering ruins and said, "There's great value in disaster. All of our mistakes are burned up. Thank God we can start anew." 3 weeks after the fire, Edison delivered his first phonograph. In each of our hearts, we have and will again experience that opportunity to start anew. What a wonderful picture of grace. So in the midst of our challenges that we face today, and our nation is in the midst of two of the biggest we've faced in many years, but in the midst of these challenges, let's remember this story, and let's simply say, thanks be to God. Would you bow with me as we pray? Loving God, we do lift up to you our prayers, and we realize that so many times prayer is about the only thing that we in our mind have to work with. And as we respond to the challenges that are before us, and namely the two that are on our mind most, the coronavirus pandemic and now the racial strife that has come our way because of very poor decision making, we pray for them and simply ask that you would be with each one of us as we seek to do the part that we can to bring them to their proper conclusion. To be able to recognize that we will someday get COVID-19 behind us. But that as we work to relieve the spirit of the racial strife that is around us, we might realize as a nation We've got to do some things different. We've got to make some different decisions. We've got to look at people a different way. Sometimes that's difficult for us to change things and to do things. So be with us as we seek to make those changes in our lives personally, in the life of our nation. And as we go forward, let us see our effort and God's response as a way of sharing God's grace. Amen.